Next up, we have Manu Chudari presenting on multitask learning for demand predictions through a hyper network.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. And today I'm going to be talking to you about demand prediction through a hyper network. And here's a quick agenda. I'll talk about the team and background and motivation for the model itself, some results, and then future work. So this is the team that worked on this project. And thanks to both Yanyan and Shaheen for contributing. Yanyan is a PhD candidate at University of Houston, and Shaheen is a research scientist who's working at PROS. So let's talk a little bit about demand modeling and how we use it at PROS. So PROS is a company which has software for generating optimal prices that companies can charge to maximize their profits and revenues. For this process, it's really important to understand the price and demand relationship, because if we price a product very low, then we are losing money and we're leaving money on the table. While if we price a product very high, then the consumers may not be interested in buying the product at all. So it's important to understand how a price could affect the demand and use that to then finally get to the optimal prices that we can charge the customers. So there are a lot of different factors that can affect elasticity. For example, there are demographic factors like age, income level, education that can lead to a different sensitivity to a price of a given product. Similarly, as we change the product, its brand, the color, pack size, a multitude of factors can also affect how much customers are willing to pay for a given product. And in general, the trend is to use these all these different features and attributes to segment the transaction data, and then for each segment then fit a demand response model which can capture this price and demand relationship. So if for example here if we have age, income level, and some brand and the color of the product, we can start segmenting on these attributes, and then for each segment of created using these attributes then fit a demand response model. And often one challenge is that the different attributes of the model may not necessarily lead to a different elasticity and also lead to sparsity. Some of these challenges we'll talk about, and these are the motivations for our this work. All right, so some of the common models that are used for predicting the demand price relationship are linear models or log models. One of the main reasons for using these models is that it leads to predictable behavior in demand and price, and it matches with what we expect in theory. So if what we expect is as prices increase, the demand should decrease. And both these models, where we have demand as just a linear function of price, or we transform the demand and price by a logarithmic function and then have a linear model, both of these lead to this behavior. Another important characteristic which helps us by having a linear model is that we can start modeling the revenue as well using this model very easily, and it becomes a concave function which can be easily optimized. So the revenue function in this case is just demand times price, and it's a concave function. The optimal price is very easy to compute analytically. And some of the challenges with this process, the challenges are often in the segmentation part, where we are when we try to segment our different products and try to create these different types of segments that we can then fit the model on. We ideally would like to group things based on elasticity. If we want to group products together which have similar elasticity, or stores together which have similar elasticity, and then leverage the data for both of these different products or multiple products and multiple stores, and then create a model. But in order to do that, we first need to segment the data and then calculate elasticity for each segment, and then run a supervised learning to start combining some of these segments together, and then go through this process every time in every iteration of our supervised segmentation algorithm. So this process is quite cumbersome, and hence we end up using price as a segmentation metric rather than elasticity itself. And another challenge with this is that uh, when we start segmenting the data, we run into sparsity issues where you have one segment where we have a lot of data, but a similar product in a different store may not have as many sales. And when that happens, you start seeing relationships between demand and price that don't always make sense. Where, for example, here we're seeing the demand is increasing even though price is increasing. And often it's just because we have overfitting going on and we don't have enough information for this segment to be able to produce a better model for us. So what we would ideally like to do is learn for the cases when we have very small data sets and not enough volume of data. We want to be able to learn from the segments which have a lot of data. So all these independent tasks that are going through to calculate the elasticity and price demand relationship for different segments, we want to combine them together and learn across by jointly training the model. So for that, we want to propose a joint demand model where demand is a function of price. And apart from that, we also have these different attributes which can affect demand, like seasonality or competitive prices. So this model is same as what we saw earlier with just a little bit of additional features just to make it a little bit more general uh, and account for things like seasonality and competition. But the key contribution here is that the features of this model themselves are then identified using a different function. So it's like a nested model where the coefficients of the model can be estimated through a nonlinear function of the demographic features and product features that can affect the elasticity itself. And the we want to use a neural network here to estimate the coefficients of this linear model. So if you look at this model design here, we have these elasticity features, which we discussed earlier, the demographic features and the product features that can affect the elasticity, our willingness to pay or price sensitivity of a customer. We want to use these features as an input to our network, neural network, and the output of the neural network is simply going to be the coefficients of our demand model, and we just simply take a dot product with the actual demand features like price or competitive price or seasonality, which basically is just the linear relationship between demand and price, and that would give us the demand. And our objective here is to minimize the error of the demand. So in this way, we are training multiple different types of products and different types of stores or different types of customers together and fitting this one demand model for everyone. But the end relationship between demand and price is still linear, and we can get the benefits of this linear demand relationship as well. So we introduce some non-linearity in the calculation of elasticity and also leverage the learning across different segments, but the end outcome is a linear relationship between demand and price. Some of the key characteristics of this model is that we use comparative prices here. We can use that. We can also normalize volume and covariates. This is a key step because we want to be able to learn across different products and across uh, different stores or customers. So we want to be able to normalize this data and then combine it together and learn the elasticities. And then while creating the model, we add embedding layers in the model for the categorical features. We also weight the different samples according to time. This helps us in accounting for drift. We also have batch normalization and dropout layers, which aid a lot in training. It speeds up the training quite a bit. And then we also regularize the model parameters. And finally, after training the model, we compute the demand accuracy metrics and extract the elasticities from the model. So here are some experiment results. We have tested this model on just right now in one product category across multiple stores in a zip code. And at this point, we only had the product features, but not the demographic features. So using this product data, also just the small sample of data, we were able to see pretty good results and improvement in accuracy of about 7.5% in RMSE compared to a method where would create a linear regression model for each separate product. So in conclusion, this model helps us create this linear model, which we can use for optimizing the prices. But at the same time, it allows us to learn across different products and different stores and train the model to achieve different elasticities for these different stores and products while learning from each other. For future work, we want to extend this work to multiple stores and multiple product categories, and we are working on that right now. We also want to introduce uncertainty quantification so that we can get better estimates of parameters and demand uncertainty, which can also help us in our optimization process to do things like multi-arm bandit modeling. And finally, we want to test it in domains with different likelihood functions. And that's it for today. Thank you. I can take questions now.
Thank you, Manu. We have one question. Which industries would this model work for, and where would it not work?
Thank you for the question. So this model works well in cases where the elasticity part especially works well in cases where you have offer a price in the market and you can observe the demand from that. So for example, a e-commerce website or a retail store. So in any of these different scenarios where you can offer a price and then start observing the demand for that. If there are cases where the prices are changing by each customer, for example, in negotiated environments, then this model can be adjusted by having, say, a logistic function instead of a linear function here, and the last step. Finally, the structure of the model can be used across other areas apart from pricing, because it gives you a way of fitting parametric models in this while also getting the advantage of the neural networks and the non-parametric models, any other non-parametric models like this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have another question. So a large stock broker firm should have enough transaction data to possibly mine elasticity of the market. Would you know, or can you speculate whether your approach would work for forecasting stock selection?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a prediction problem and if we want to use it for that, we can definitely use it in that scenario as well. I haven't used it for stock prediction, but it could be something that could be where it could be used. But the key, I think the key point to note is if we want that parametric relationship between demand or say stock price and something, all the covariates, then this model would be applicable. But if there is no requirement to have that parametric, well-defined parametric relationship, then we don't have to use this model. We could use any other direct neural network model as well if we just want to predict the outcomes.
Okay. All right, one more. Are there realistic market simulators that would allow you to validate and train your model?
So we create our own simulators for this purpose, and we don't use any out-of-box simulators, but we do use our simulators to test this model out. We also use the real-life data sets for this, which are the best kind of tests, since the measure here is the demand accuracy. So we can use real-life data sets for this as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your presentation.